Hey there, I'm Lee, the Southern Storyteller. Nice to meet you. Some folks remember their first date. Some folks remember their first kiss. Some guys even remember their first wives. Me? I remember the first time I had a cow in the bedroom. Now hang on a minute before you start calling the cops. Go grab a glass of sweet tea, pull up a chair. I've got a story for you. Now, I've been blessed in a lot of ways. Still got all my own teeth. Still got most of my hair. And I got a memory like a steel trap. I could remember things back from before I could tie my own shoes. We're talking like 18 months old, 2 years old. I remember this one time, I was about 2 years old. We lived in a little red brick house way out in the middle of a cow pasture. Now, I ain't suggesting that we live beside a cow pasture or near a cow pasture. It was right smack dab in the middle of the cow pasture. You had to drive across 3 cattle gates and about a quarter mile down this old bumpy road to get to our house. You had to drive past the cows. They were standing in the middle of the pasture as you drove by, and they looked at you like, that's a funny looking cow. So we lived out in the middle of this cow pasture, and I was scared to death of the cows. They were huge and gnarly and vicious, and they looked at me like, oh, I bet he'd taste good. Now, Mama, she tried her best to make me feel better about the cows. She'd say things like, well, honey, they're more afraid of you than you are of them. But I don't remember any of them running behind her when I walked by. Anyway, so one night, I was just being a little 2-year-old guy, minding my own business. Mom put me down to go to bed, and somewhere in the middle of the night, it happened. I woke up, and there was a cow in the bedroom. I freaked out. And I did what any rational 2-year-old kid would do when there's a cow in his bedroom. I screamed, She woke up from a dead sleep, didn't know what was going on, came running into the room. What? Where's the cow? Where's the cow? I don't see a cow. She turned on the light. No cow. Cow was gone. She said, honey, where is the cow? And I pointed it. It's right over there, Mama. And she said, well, darling, that's just Mama's pocketbook sitting on a chair. Now, most good Southern women know the difference between a pocketbook and a purse, even if the rest of the world don't. But she's always called it a pocketbook, and she calls it a pocketbook to this day. Now, I was rational. Cow was gone. Pocketbook on the chair. Okay. Mom turned off the lights and said, now go back to sleep. And went to her room and left me there in the dark. And there it was. The cow was back in the bedroom. Mama, there's a cow in the bedroom. Mama, there's a cow in the bedroom. She comes running back in there, turns on the light. Cow's gone. Pocketbook on the chair. Light off. Cow in the bedroom. Light on. Pocketbook on the chair. Light off. Cow in the bedroom. Light on, pocketbook on the chair. Now this went on for what seemed like hours, but it was probably only about 4 or 5 minutes or so. And she turned off the light and said, now you go back to sleep and stop fussing about all these cows in the bedroom. Turned the light off. There's a cow in the bedroom, Mama! There's a cow in the bedroom! Finally, Daddy woke up. And he had about all this he was going to have. And he said, for heaven's sake, why don't you just take the pocketbook off the chair? pocketbook off the chair. No more cow in the bedroom. I slept wonderfully for the rest of the night. Looking back, I learned two things that night. Shadows can be very tricky. And if you live in the middle of a cow pasture, you shouldn't leave your pocketbook on the chair in the dark in a child's room. To this day, I don't trust cows, and I don't understand pocketbooks.